It's the Longines Hong Kong Vase, 2,400 metres, of course, headed by the winner in 2015. Highland Reel is back for his final start. Talismanic, the horse that beat him in the Breeders' Cup last time out. Tiberian, Chemical Charge, Danehill Kodiak from the UK. Eagle Way, one of the home challengers, of course, John Moore and Tommy Berry. Max Dynamite ran third in the Melbourne Cup on his last start. Tossin Basil ran up in Group 2 company in Japan over the course and distance. Helene Charisma, they put the blinkers on for the first time. Smart Call comes from South Africa via the UK and down to Kaseki. Mirko Demura in the saddle, of course, winner of the Japanese St Leger last time out in very, very different conditions. It was a tough assignment that day. Brett, we've made our way to the touchscreen here to have a look at it. Interesting one, possibly Danehill Kodiak out in front, but Highland Reel, every chance he can get going like Ryan did last year. He's got plenty in the tank, hasn't he?
He's such a great horse, isn't he, Andrew? He can position himself well early as you've got him rolling there. I think, as you say, Danehill Kodiak will probably find the front. And Chemical Charge is another one that is going to be sort of handy. You would think Talismanic would want to kick up from his low draw and hold that position if he can inside of Highland Reel. I mean, when you look at the betting scenario, these two here, Highland Reel and Talismanic, they're going to be in prime spots. Smart Call, where will she end up? I think she's better ridden cold. She might be back here. There could be the option that they decide to roll forward and maybe try and get outside of Danehill Kodiak, be up on the speed. She's got issues from her gait, but she's most effective when ridden cold. That form in South Africa, I think you pointed it out to me, Andrew, nothing could get near her over there. We haven't seen the best of her in France, but I'm going to give her a chance, but I think they need to ride her cold. Yeah, good to slow initially, but I could see the tempo rising, Paul.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it, as the heat goes on. And we're going to have a look at some of these international horses for you. The first one being Highland Reel. He's going really nicely here as he comes down. He's settled back in. He knows the place well. He's been here, done that before, and really nice piece from him. So he's on his swan song. The next one is Tiberian. The French horse, he's going really well. Now, he's come back from a Melbourne Cup campaign, but you can see it's a nice piece from him. He's settled in nicely here, and those Melbourne Cup horses have got good records in this particular race before. Max Dynamite was pushed out in this particular contest, this particular piece of work, but he did respond nicely enough. Another one coming off a Melbourne Cup campaign, and he did perform better there, running third, although Tiberian didn't have too much luck. So the other one is Kaseki. So these are some of the four main international chances. You can see Mirko Demuro moving nicely enough here on him. And as you mentioned, Andrew, was in the mud last time in the St Leger, but he won't get those conditions here in Hong Kong.
No. He's a lovely moving horse, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been under a little bit of a cloud, but everything seems to be OK with him. Yep. That's Kaseki, the 3-year-old. Big reputation coming from Japan. Now, let's start, though, with Ryan Moore. He rode Highland Reel his last two starts here in Hong Kong, of course. Winner in 2015 and runner-up last year.
Ryan, Highland Reel is his last race start here in Hong Kong on Sunday. You've had a lot to do with him throughout his career. He's won Group 1s in 3 different countries. When you look back at his career, how will you remember him?
Yeah, he's been a super horse. He's a high-class horse, but obviously what marks him out is how durable he's been. He's ran all around the world, and he always runs a good race. He's ran this year. I think he's probably been. He's brought his form on again. I think he's won like 2 of the biggest races in England, and we're looking forward to him running here on Sunday. The Vase it's always a hard race to win, and obviously Talismanic's in there, and there's plenty of other horses, a couple of Japanese horses and a couple of local horses aren't too bad, another horse from Europe which bring good form, and hopefully he will he'll do what he usually does, and he'll give his all, and it'd be nice if he can go out with a win, and we'll hope for the best.
And just with him as well too, the Breeders' Cup last time out, you said afterwards that he felt like he laboured a little bit. Is that a concern at all for you?
No, he just he had to come off a run at Ascot only 2 weeks previous, and we just felt he can possibly be a little bit better than he was the last time, but he was beat by a good horse that day as well, and he didn't run a bad race at all. He still he still ran super as he always does, so hopefully he'll do the same again.
Yeah, 6 Group 4 Grade 1 victories to name, over $70 million in the bank, courtesy of Highland Reel. Can he go out with a fairy tale finish?
I think he can, Andrew. He knows the place well. Ryan Moore obviously knows the place well. He has nothing to prove. He's been a terrific world warrior with regards to racing. He's raced at all the best meetings around the world and been competitive. Great to have him here again, and he can definitely win.
Yeah, I agree totally. I've got Talismanic to beat him, but I think it's going to be, looks like Quinella for me, definitely. Talismanic just with the year younger, and I liked his win in that race that we saw, the turf sprint.
British Cup turf,
British
yeah.
Cup.
So they're Lockhorns once more. They're two big players in the race. What about Kiseki, though? This 3,000 metres, testing conditions. He's still rolling when they go across the line. He's a horse of enormous potential. Is he there yet, though, for a race on Sunday?
This is the thing, he's had these ringworm problems, hasn't he? But you can see he hit the line nicely here, 3,000 metres in the mud. I love those camera angles in Japan. And went going away. So, look, if it's a really sort of a breakneck speed or it's really set up, then he's going to be right there. I just wonder if it's a year too early for him.
I'm not sure it is. It could be. It could be. The thing I keep looking at is that prior to that start, he ran second to Ray Dioro, who ran second in the Japan Cup. Now, if a horse that came from Japan running second in the Japan Cup into this, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, we'd probably be talking about him as the one to beat.
All right.
So,
All right. Serious consideration then.
Serious thoroughbred, I think, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. The Melbourne Cup's been quite a good lead-up race for the Vars in the past. We've got Max Dynamite and Tiberian here. Tiberian weakens out of it, but Max Dynamite, super effort from him. It
was a good run actually from both of them. Tiberian sort of had to get going a little bit too early, and in the end it sort of it was his undoing a little bit. But Max Dynamite battled on quite nicely, and I think both of them will make their presence felt. But they both maybe just lack that little turn of acceleration that might be required on the day, Andrew. We saw last year when Highland Reel really picked up into the stretch, he charged away. We know Satono Crown came out of the pack and joined him, but the gap back to third was humongous. So, you know, Talismanic as well has probably got that turn of acceleration along with Highland Reel. Do those two have it? Not quite sure if they can match it with those others.
Yeah, I've got, of those two, I thought Tiberian, you know, he was drawn, he has 3 or 4 wide the whole way, so he was entitled to drop out at the end. With a good run here, I've got him in the numbers. I think he's settled in nicely.
That's true. He did sort of, you know, as they turned in, he sort of charged up and it all sort of, you know, came to plan a little bit too early and then weakened out. So I don't think either of them can win, but they can run well.
All right, Tiberian will be the different colours as well on Sunday because he's racing in the Northern Hemisphere. But this is the home challenge, Eagle Way and Helene Charisma. They're putting the blinkers on Helene Charisma this time.
They are, and they'll have to lift him, and he'll have to find a lot of lengths. We know, as a horse that came from overseas, that he was, you know, a horse that could potentially be competitive in a race like this, but I haven't seen it so far. It's hard to suggest it's going to happen there on Sunday. And, of course, Eagle Way had a little chest infection, so a little bit of a setback for him is a bit of a concern also.
Yeah, I agree. It was going better, I thought, maybe earlier on. Helene Charisma will need a surprise typhoon to arrive. I think he needs a real wet track.
We haven't had success in this race all that often, Andrew, and I don't think those two are quite there to do it for us.
OK, the French have, though. They've got the best record in the Vars. Where does it go this year, though, Paul?
The French. Talismanic. I just think he'll get a really nice run from Barrier 1. And he beat Highland Reel last time, and I think he can do it again. But I think these two are the standouts. Tiberian is the main danger for me, and he's a really good price, $21 if he starts that. So I'm going around the top of the handicap here, or top of the sort of the ratings, 2 to beat 1 and 3, and then the up and coming will put Kiseki in for 4th. He's obviously a very high class horse from Japan, and you've got to be wary of those Japans. But QQPs, I'll be playing the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's a great race. I'd love to see Highland Reel go out a winner, and he may well do. I just think the horse on the rise might be able to take the seated king in his final race. 12 Kiseki to beat Highland Reel, Talismanic to get the gun run, and Smart Call. I think she travelling here might just you know, freshen her up a little bit mentally. If they ride her cold and she can let down with that turn of acceleration, I think she can run a race. 12, 1, 2, 11. I'm going to trio the 1 and 2 double banker with 2, 8 and 11. I'm going to throw in Tosin Basil because you can never underestimate Joe Moreira in the bars.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned him because I've actually got him in the numbers. I left Kiseki out, but Tosin Basil goes in, I think, gets a good run in transit.